Welcome to this next episode of the Voices of Boost, the podcast where we dive into big ideas, challenges and opportunities within our energy and utilities industry. My name is Michel Delvaux and I will be talking to Jonas Thys from Ferranti today, who is the innovation lead. Welcome, Jonas.
Thanks, Michel, for having me.
We will be talking about AI and how Ferranti is using AI. You mentioned a couple of product lines during our preparations, like Mecoms 365, which is developed by Ferranti. But for listeners and viewers who don't know Mecoms and Ferranti, can you explain a bit what the product is and what your role within the company actually is?
Of course. So the Mecoms 365 is a product, or maybe even a product suite with different solutions, software platforms that help utility companies navigate through some of their most challenging topics. For example, the billing aspect of things, the market communication of things. And what we do at Ferranti is we bring everything together in one platform with different solutions that communicate with each other to navigate these complexities. And my role within Ferranti is exactly this. So we have a platform that does the core for many of our clients. But obviously, there's also a lot of innovations that play around, different things they want to try out. And this is exactly what I'm trying to do within Ferranti, to understand exactly what those new things could be and how new technologies could help our clients basically understand the world better and also bring better solutions to their clients.
It sounds like a very attractive job to me.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's super interesting.
Yeah. So I'm wondering what triggered you or Ferranti actually to start using technologies like AI, such emerging things. Is it on customer demand or was it really an internal vision?
Well, it's a great question. And I guess it's a little bit of both. I think the AI train has left the station, and I think it's up to everyone to embark it. And the question is when you do so. And I think at Ferranti, we already started with some initial experiments years ago. And I'm really talking 10 years ago, because obviously AI has been there even longer than the recent developments of Gen AI. But I must say that ever since the whole Gen AI cycle has started, that we also at Ferranti, we try to really jump on the train and try to lead the pack in some segments. So that's why I was asked as well to explore a little bit what possibilities there are. And that's exactly what we are doing. And it's been a super fun ride so far.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of opportunities, so we'll dive into that a bit later. But first, I'm actually curious how it all works. What's actually underneath the hood? Are there certain models that you use in your applications, or did you build and train your own models maybe?
Good question. Obviously, it depends on what exact use case we want to tackle. I believe when we talk about Gen AI, we obviously use the models that are available, and our partner is Microsoft for that. So we use the models that are made available through the Azure platform of Microsoft. And then you can start playing around, use these models for specific use cases. So that's basically the cornerstone, so to speak, of every application. And then on top, you start developing other things like a user interface so that you can interact, or you make connections to other certain applications or to the specific document bases, etc., etc. So you really, you start from choosing that specific model, which Microsoft makes available for you, and then you build on top to make sure that you build that exact application that you need for your client or for yourself.
Okay, so you're mentioning some big tech names like Microsoft. Can I assume that everything is secure then? cybersecurity wise. That's a hot topic as well these days.
Absolutely. And everybody fears that their data might disappear into that one big model. And that's exactly why we also choose to work with Microsoft, because that's exactly their promise, that whatever we do with data that we use really stays on our own premises, on our own cloud premises that we have with Microsoft. So that's one of the key things, so to speak. Every time I am doing a new project or I'm investigating something, the security checklist, so to speak, is on my table as well, to make sure that we do everything in a well-organized manner and we don't do any crazy things with the data that we are using for these models.
Yeah, that's good to hear, obviously.
Yes.
That you take that into account. You also touched on knowledge bases, etc., where AI could play a useful role. Is that a current application that Ferranti is exploring now?
Yes, it was not by accident that I mentioned this, because this is actually one of the projects that I'm working on. It's basically an internal knowledge bot, a chatbot, where our own Ferranti consultants, developers, and basically everybody within Ferranti can talk to if they have questions regarding our product suite. And it's actually a very interesting project, because we started with this pretty early on when the whole Gen AI cycle started up. We saw this as a use case, like many other companies, by the way, and we are really setting our steps there and making sure that we also build a platform, a chatbot that our consultants can use to ask questions to and to really see that they can use all the valuable information that, for example, our product team has created, so that they can use it in their project to basically speed up their implementation and speed up their understanding.
Yeah, and can a similar solution like this also help end customers of your software, for example, in the sense of like advanced e-learnings or training to actually use the software that you built?
Yeah, that's indeed a very logical follow-up question, and it's one that I'm also working on exploring, so to speak. But it's not so easy to do that, because the big difference obviously is the audience. The chatbot that we are developing now has an internal audience, so in general it can make a little bit more mistakes, or it can behave a little bit more crazy, so to speak. And before we want to put this in front of our clients, we really have to make sure that we accept a couple of guardrails that we potentially now don't need, because it's solely for internal use. And so it's a little bit of a different question. And at this point, we're using it already, but at the same time, we're still finding points of improvement. And in the end, we want to make sure whether or not to put it in front of our clients. It's definitely the end goal, but the application has to be ready for it. And that's definitely something that we're still exploring in the meantime.
Okay, that's good to hear. Do you see any concrete examples of the way how you use the AI now within the teams and around development? Do you see any concrete examples where it really improved the process already?
Yeah, absolutely. So the interesting thing that we have done with that knowledge management platform is we really took all of the knowledge base that we have within Ferranti, and we kind of put it in an AI, and then we built a UI on top so that you can talk to it with some specific, very specific scenarios, etc. And that way, people can really start using the knowledge base in a much better interface than just scrolling through a web page, so to speak. And what we see is that, for example, some of our more junior colleagues, they really like this concept because they are used to working with these types of AIs, but also they actually have this little bit more senior colleague always on their side. And that's super useful because they can start asking questions and they actually level up their understanding of things without any help of another senior consultant. And what we see when we get feedback from senior consultants is that our junior consultants now have much more detailed questions, and they feel that they already have a good basic context of a specific problem, so that they can really dive into the exact complexity of things without having to explain a lot of other context, because that's exactly what was explained by the AI chatbot. So that's a really, really interesting case. Yeah,
so it also reduces time actually for the people who are working.
Absolutely,
to get, the right knowledge.
Time and also quality. I also heard of a junior colleague that was actually using this in a much more creative way to generate certain test cases, test scenarios that this person needed. And if he would do this on his own, then it would take him a lot more time, versus now he gets a first draft of things, just has to review, fix a couple of things, and then he's good to go with these test cases. So that's exactly why we are doing these types of things, right? To speed up the process. And then maybe you have to put the last 10 or 20% over the line yourself, but at least 80 to 90% was done already by the AI.
Yeah. So that's also a good idea to explore, the testing
Absolutely.
based on AI.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, really sounds cool. Do you see big challenges when implementing these kinds of solutions, apart from people might not really know how to use it in the first time, but more technical challenges maybe?
Yes, there's definitely a lot of challenges when using AI. And for me, when I look at things, it all kind of starts with the fact that an AI, software with AI, is completely different from what I would call traditional software. Traditional software, if something is not working, it's a bug and you have to solve it. It's always very clear. You give an input and you expect exactly that output. That is different with AI. AI is non-deterministic, so you give an input A, and one time you get output B, but sometimes you get C. And that's both the strength as well as the risk. Because you wanted to be creative, you wanted to generate things that didn't exist yet. That's the whole point of generative AI. But at the same time, it's maybe not creating exactly what you need. And that's the biggest risk. And that's also the reason why we are still putting in place some guardrails, for example, before we put this in front of our clients. Because we want to make sure that if we deliver something, that it's within the right boundaries, so that whenever for example, the Maycoms assistant, the knowledge assistant, whenever it says something, that there is a reasonable assumption that what it is saying is useful in that given context. So there's a lot of things that we're trying to find out, how exactly it's going to be used, what guardrails we can put in place, so that eventually every audience can actually work with this, what I call non-deterministic piece of software.
Yeah, that sounds clear. So, and knowing all this and all the challenges that are still there or need to be managed, where do you see AI in Ferranti or Maycoms solutions go in the upcoming years, let's say, and max 5 years from now? Are there any things in particular that you keep an eye on?
Yeah, good question. First of all, there's many things to keep an eye on. It's changing every day. I think OpenAI recently released a new version as well of their models, which is interesting in itself because these models, they enable new use cases, but at the same time, we also noticed that for some specific use cases, maybe the older models were better. Mm-hmm. So that's an interesting evolution to follow. How are the models going to grow? Are they going to make significant improvements, or is it going to be more and more incremental over the years? And what impact does that have on the use cases that we want to explore? Talking about the use cases then specifically, there's many things that we want to do. We have a whole list of ideas that we want to explore and want to do something with. A couple of them we're further down the line than with others. But to be concrete, I think the whole idea regarding making your knowledge base work harder for you with AI makes a lot of sense and is definitely something that we will be focusing on for at least the coming years. It's as if you are creating your own senior consultant and maybe even your own expert consultant. And if you could have that person available, for example, in your in-company chat application, that would be of great asset, of course. But at the same time, and this is probably the most interesting piece, we're also looking into how we can actually put AI in front of our own customers. Of course, we have the plan with the whole knowledge assistant, true, but maybe as well in our own Maycoms platform, right? Where we really develop specific features or even a specific product that is based on AI or uses AI at its core. And we're already doing some things there. For example, Microsoft released the whole FinOps AI agent concept. Well, we're exploring exactly a couple of use cases that we have in mind, whether or not they might work with this exact chatbot. So that's definitely something to come in the coming 1, 2, 3 years. I can't say for sure, but that's something that we're really trying to explore. And then beyond, I think you can dream big about the whole AI thing, but it's definitely something to watch closely. What everybody is doing, how they are applying things, It's super interesting, and I'm sure it will also have an impact on our own course. And if we see an opportunity, then we might as well jump on it.
For sure. I think that's the good mindset with these kind of technologies. Absolutely. Because you never know what's coming. You know what's there, but you never know what's coming.
Exactly.
Keep an eye open for opportunities. But I also think that the FinOps agent might be a very interesting option for your utility customers as well.
Exactly.
To explore.
Exactly.
So.
The thing is, there is already a couple of things that Microsoft offers as well. Some are really useful in specific use cases, and that's also what we would like to accomplish, right? That we build something that is immediately really of added value, and not just a toy that has AI, so to speak. That's not what Ferranti stands for. We really want to build something that has value, and not just do something just because it has AI in its name. And that's obviously still a challenge, because if you look at the market right now, there's definitely a lot of these AI play software that you can use, which is nice, but at the end we really want to add some value with the products that we ship. So it's also a question of where you put your resources in. But anyway, let's see where it will take us. And I'm as you notice probably, I'm a firm believer in that it will take us somewhere, but I don't know where for sure.
Yeah, you sound very enthusiastic about the topic, so I'm very reassured that good things will come out of that. So
nice to hear.
Yeah, of course, good advice is also valuable for our listeners and viewers. Is there any last piece of advice you would like to give our audience when we wrap up this podcast about companies who are looking into using AI to improve processes or replace
Yeah, absolutely. Things? I think my main advice is always get started. It's super easy to open up an AI application on your computer. Just do it. Start using it. Start exploring. There's always a small bump that you have to get across because it's new. It's non-deterministic software. It works different from traditional software, as I mentioned. But the main advice is just open up an application, start discovering, and these are your first steps. And then you can keep walking if you want, or you can start running. But if you don't take that first step, then it's probably never gonna get any further. Yeah, true. I think that's a good advice and a good motivation for people who are interested. Absolutely. And looking at what they need to do first. Yeah. So true. So I would like to thank you for this conversation about how Ferranti is using AI or exploring it. And then I would like to thank our audience, the viewers and the listeners who tuned in. And I would say if you like to know more like these kind of ideas, challenges, opportunities that are emerging in the tech industry, then be sure to stay tuned for our next episode of Voices of Boost.